I wanted to read with you Jeremiah chapter 8, verse 7. I thought this is just appropriate with what we are talking about today. It says here, "Ye, the stock in the heaven, knoweth her appointed times, and the turtle and the crane and the swallow observe the time of their coming. But my people know not the judgment of the Lord." I think nature seems to obey God more than man does obey God. I think we all can, we have seen this probably through experience and probably what we perceived over the few years that we have been here on earth. I come the southern part of Africa, and we used to see this whenever we saw the white stock coming into we need to know where they were coming from, but we could see them flocking into Zimbabwe, and we knew that the summer was nigh. We knew that, and they always kept time, and they never come. They didn't come there any other time except towards just in the vicinity of the approaching rains and that kind of stuff. And so we knew it was time to prepare for farming equipment and all that went with it. So here God is giving an example that the animals kingdom, rather nature, does know its rhythms. The birds, they know when to flock, when to leave, when to depart, and to the regions where they are going to find food and shelter, and probably not to, obviously they were running away here from the cold weather, and so they would flock southward. And whenever summer ended, and the harvest is finished, they would still disappear, which means they will go up north where there will be greener pastures. This is what God is trying to communicate to us this evening. Now, country living is not just us here deciding where we want to go and then we pack our bags and that's that's it. Or we sell our houses and we move. No. Yes, all of us in this group, I know that we are already engaged in God's work, no doubt about it. But the cities are to be worked from outposts, which means we don't have to be living in the cities. As I speak, I think it's late, but not too late. We need to move out, and we need to make sure that we do that very quickly. I read with you this what transpired in September. A few weeks ago when I made this brief presentation, what Ellen White says about the trade unions and the part they are going to play in the end time. And today, surprisingly, I just read the quotation at the top there. It says this first part: the work of the people of God is to prepare for the events of the future, which will soon come upon them with a blinding force. In the world, and that monopolies will be formed. Men will bind themselves. Okay, just think of what you call gigantic monopolies. It means here many big companies are now consolidating. I might not pronounce it properly, but these corporations, they are beginning to, you can see that banks are merging. I think we are aware of that. Big corporations are merging. The internet companies are merging. I think Yahoo was bought by, is it Microsoft or is it Google? I know one of them acquired the other. And so they are just consolidating so that they can form these alliances that will be very, very oppressive. Very few players will be out there to suppress people. Only small, big companies will be operating in the end time. And so the unions in these monopolies, there are unions that are so powerful. They are going to be movers and shakers at the same time. But unfortunately, we seem not to be focusing on the Vatican, what the Pope has said, what the Vatican has said, and that kind of stuff. But really, the problem sometimes is readily avoided or rather ignored. The trade unions are going to bring the most chaotic situation this world has ever imagined. It says here, just today, activities descended on the site in Tottenham. I don't know, that is in Rochester. About 7 a.m. Friday, blocked its 2 entrances as part of the International Day of Action called by trade unions to end complicity to Israeli war crimes. An organizer said more than 400 trade unions are involved in the action at the site, which they claim provide components for military aircrafts being used in bombardment of Gaza. Well, the whole idea is not just I want you to take note of what the trade unions are now doing in the end time. They are moving stuff. They are organizing themselves, and obviously with the secret societies, it's all just coming together here. So what are God's children supposed to do in such a situation? Do we just become complacent and just think, oh, things are going to be fine? I don't think so. We are very much aware when the pandemic struck, we were all very much not even aware what was coming. It just came so suddenly. The lockdowns were so fast. I think by the end of March, everything was just 2020. By end of March, things were not looking good. Obviously, by mid of the year, they were talking of the vaccine, and let me not just go there, but just to sensitize all of us that we are living in a very unprecedented time of this Earth's history. Things are going to happen that we least expected, but we know they will happen, but we need to be in the right places. I think that's the bottom line. We need to be at the right place. How are we going to move? Are we just going to move? I don't think so. We need God's guidance and wisdom. We need God's opening the way for us. We need to know God's will. And we can only know God's will by much prayer. Much prayer is needed. If we have ever prayed about the country living, this is the time, brethren and sisters. We need to do that urgently. And we need to know this is what God wants me to do, and this is where God leads me, and this is where God wants me to settle. So those things are very, very crucial. Obviously, we need to acquire a piece of land. Once God directs you where you need to go, then you can acquire a piece of land and build yourself a comfortable home. It doesn't have to be a mansion. No, it needs to be comfortable for the family so that you don't miss city living. Some people would go there and maybe just build substandard houses, and then they would wish for the flesh of Israel, of Egypt, like what Israel was doing, and they wanted to go back to the very oppressors, Egypt. So once we move out, we need just to make sure we're comfortable. Now, planning to move out of the cities. As long as God is leading every one of us, we have nothing to fear, absolutely nothing to fear. God will never lead us in any way that will jeopardize our salvation. You are guaranteed God will always lead his children in the way that will end peacefully. He says, I know the thoughts that I have for you, thoughts of peace, not to give you an expected end. That's what he promised in Jeremiah chapter 29. Now, as we move, we need also to know the laws of the land where we are going, because these may differ from country to country or from one state to another, especially those living in the US. Those states have got totally different laws. And that's why you find most people who are seeking country living in Tennessee. I don't know why Tennessee, but for whatever reason, majority of them have gone to Tennessee. But I know some of my friends, some are in Californian desert. They're doing fine. So yeah, but we need to know God's will where we are going. We also need to know the restrictions. In every country, there are restrictions as to where you can build, what you can build, and there are certain standards that needs to be followed. We need to know that. We don't want to build something and then we're asked to destroy the stuff, and then we rebuild. That can be discourage us and probably make us lose hope. We also need to be aware of the water supply wherever we are going. So when we are planning country living, by the time we move, we already know the sources of water supply and how to get that water. We may just have, we don't need electricity. There are many other methods we can get for just drawing water. There are ramp pumps, hydraulic ramp pumps. They don't use electricity, Papa's ramp pump or spiral pumps and that kind of stuff. And these are just some of the things that you can get on the internet, and how to assemble if you buy one of them, and how powerful they are. So you need to get the right material when it comes to the water supply. Where you are going, are you going to dig a well? Is there a stream running through your land? All these facts are very, very important as to what equipment you are going to buy. So it's just not a question of buying a ramp pump because I'm going to the country, may not need it, may need something else. So that's why proper planning is really, really, really needed. Also, country living, we need energy. We can't do without energy. In every aspect of our country living, we need energy. It's the source that we can't do without. Okay, sorry about that. Now, the energy supply on the grid, it means that you're going to seek utilities power to connect to your property. This is on the grid. Unfortunately, you don't want that, because once you are connected to the grid, it means that if you don't have your own backup, okay, we need to be very clear here. If you don't have your own backup, it means when the going gets tough and they say, well, unless you come or you follow the rules, the new order of things, unfortunately, unless you do that, we will unfortunately have to cut the services. So you need to have your own backup to say, okay, if the worst comes to the worst, I can still survive and continue to have my own power supply. Off the grid, it's very simple, straightforward. From onset, you just have to have your solar panels. Those are some of the options we have, or wind power, wind turbines or windmills, and hydraulic power. This you can generate it by using water. If you are close to where there's a river running across your property or a stream, you can use the hydropower. There's so much that you can utilize just by using those things. And also for we have off the grid as well. We can. This will give us independence completely. Solar panels, I think I've mentioned that. They also you have to know the type that can be used in summer, winter, spring, all year round. I think now they've got lots of choices for that, and also their power. the energy that you need to be using washing machines or cooking or cookers and so forth. But when it comes also to heating your house, there are lots of options that you can use besides I think the simplest really, where in countries where they allow, the wood burners will be the best to heat your house. This is obviously, if you are living where there's a forest, there's plenty of supply of wood, then this one will be probably the best option, because you can use it for heating the house, use it for warming the water for baths, and you can also use it for cooking your food. So it will be multi-purpose, just using one. I know one wood burner that I've been looking at for quite a bit. They are a bit pricey at the Wamsler. These are manufactured in Hungary, but there are some that manufactured in Germany and Italy and all these in other countries, European countries, Finland and so forth. But to me, I've been attracted to the Wamsler. So when it comes to country living, these to me are the most important things that you can look at: the energy, the water supply, and the different options that you can use to generate your own water supply or energy for using in the homes. This is the list that I put here. Is not exhaustive. You have got other means. You need to do your research. You need to see where your means will allow you to acquire more stuff as a backup as well. Now, the other thing that we need to think about when we are planning to move to the country is what to grow. You need to know the soil type and what they grow there, and whether you have the seeds that you'll be able to utilize, and also the equipment. Generally, you need equipment when it comes to farming. I think Justin, you were just sharing with us. Now you've got a tractor, you've got all these other equipment that you need. So there's a lot that you can get just farming equipment. You can even go to farmers shops, or there are also hardware for just farmers. You can go there, you can see a whole list of equipment that you can use there. And normally they would give a free advice to say, okay, I've got this piece of land, what can I use for cultivation? They will give you all the options that you'll need. But having said that, we can have all the equipment, we can all have all we can have acquired the land, no problem. But the seeds, I believe they play a major role when it comes to buying and selling in the future. Remember the monopolies that are forming, they will just be so oppressive. It will be one-way system. Either you buy our seeds or you have no seeds. So we need to start thinking about the proper heirloom seeds. That these are seeds that you can save for yourself. You can grow stuff, save the seeds, and it will go on and on and on and on and on. So yeah, you need not to go to any other supplier. You will be your own supplier. I think this is what we really, really need. I've listed here just four of them. Baker Creek heirloom seeds, or it's called also rare heirloom seeds, is in the US. True Leaf market in the US as well. There's also the others as well, probably 10 more, but the Baker Creek and True Leaf are at the top. Okay, True Leaf, it will give you more supply of whatever you need to buy. They've got bigger pack, 2 kg or 25 kg or whatever. But Baker Creek, they supply, they've got the best stuff. from my experience. They've got the best seeds, but they give just small portions. And if you're outside the US, you can only buy maximum 10 packets at a time. But also, you cannot order grain. By grain, I'm talking about wheat and all that goes with it. You can only order corn. It's considered as part of the vegetable, so it's not part of the grain. The grain is just the wheat. They will not allow you unless you've got a permit to order the grains. Then we've got living seeds, that is in South Africa. For those who live in Africa, probably they have easy access to that. They will supply you with almost as much as you need. And then there's top organic for those in Europe, even here in the UK. You can use those ones to order as well as many seeds as you please. There's no limit. Maybe if you order a bit too much, then you may have to pay some duty of some sort, depending. Normally they track down what you are ordering and how much you're ordering as well. So yeah, so when it comes to the seeds, brothers and sisters, it's a must that you need to have your seeds in order, because otherwise you'll be left with, if you go and buy this, what they so-called organic seeds that you see in the shops, unfortunately, some of them they don't hold up. They are genetically modified, but they're just labeled organic. You just grow them for 1 season, 2 seasons, then it's all gone. As I said, gigantic monopolies are just going to make sure that few people or those who have agreed to the laws that are coming can buy stuff. They are going to control everything. Thank God that they will not control the air that you breathe. But sure, they also come up with, say that the animals are breathing like the cattle, they need to eliminate them, they are emitting too much what you call gases into the atmosphere, this whole branding global warming. But unfortunately, these pigs, they are spared, they don't seem to be causing any problem, although they are unclean foods. So yeah, we need to work to be wide awake with what's coming. Country living is not that we are running away from persecution. No, it's for us to, God wants us to be where we are, where we can form characters for heaven. It's not, if you go country living just to run away from persecution, I think we would have lost the really reason why we are going to the country. It's having a relationship with Christ, with more time to be in nature, with nature, and to have quiet time. When you wake up in the morning, it would be nice just to hear the birds singing and the water brooks, and to see the blue sky in the night, not the lights that we see when we open our doors. It's all street lights, but there we'll be having probably the moon, and if the moon is not shining, then we can have the stars. We'll be able to see the clear stars in the night, something that is very rare when we live in the cities. So it's country living, it's not just running away from the cities. No, it's more than that. We need also to be aware where we will not have interference about Sabbath keeping as claims as well when it comes to what's coming ahead, because everybody will be watching everybody. I think you don't know who is watching you. So you don't want where people see you coming in, going in, coming in and going in, and they see what you are reading, what you are doing, and that kind of stuff. Yeah, we need to be out of sight if we can. So this is one of the major reasons why we need to go country living. And if you look at the country living as well, as long as we obey God, wherever He leads us, we have nothing to fear. God never leads us astray. He says, I will never leave you nor forsake you. And God is sure those who are submissive to his will, he will lead them to way of everlasting. This is guaranteed. We need to trust God. We need to be submissive to God. And we need to love our God. He has done so much for us. He's all that we have in this life and the life to come. And when we obey God, we can be guaranteed we will be protected. Whatever comes to this earth, we will be protected. Not one Christian perished in the destruction of Jerusalem. And Jesus had told them the warning, when you see this happening, take flight. And the Christians then obeyed. When they saw the Romans surround the city and then unexpectedly withdrew, they took their flight. We had the COVID. I believe COVID was just a warning to say, out of the cities. If you don't believe it, well, I don't know what other warning God will give. But the whole idea, now everything appears to be okay, fine. Everything is going normal. No. I don't believe so. I don't believe so. Because what's coming is going to be so sudden that those who are in the cities who would not have made their moves will not be able to move, unfortunately. And you cannot put the blame on God. God has given us this window of opportunity. Let's make the move where we can, but not without proper planning. We need to plan, we need to pray, we need to ask for God for wisdom, and we need to move. I think this is what I can present at this hour. And if there are any questions, please feel free to ask.
I think what we can all agree with is the fact that the beast system that we have seen being erected is the exact opposite of the plan of God. So from restrictions, advocating that we stay in our houses, fearful of the next person and the next building and that next trolley, and fear to even touch money. And we realize we're emphasizing on money. Now we are venturing into the cashless system. One more thing was actually, we later learned that the biggest antidote was vitamin D and sunshine. And we were not allowed to do that. In fact, it was the opposite of the 8 laws of health that they were recommending. So if we had any public health advice to give, it was the Ministry of Healing. Because it is the devil's idea to do the opposite of what God does. And just recently, I think it was the 19th of September, they did another COP, which was a big climate change summit that they called the no-nonsense things. And some of the things they discussed were, again, what we are talking about was issues pertaining country living. They were actually advocating that, which Pope, well, again, I can't remember who wrote that encyclical Rerum Novarum, which basically was advocating for less ownership of land, and that the land should be held basically by the Catholic Church. And they have done that right now as we speak. Bill Gates now owns 60% of land in the USA. And they came out of this September one saying that they wanted to do more of that. And needless to say, I don't know how many of us here know what happened to the Netherlands in the last few months, and in the last year in COVID, and to the farmers in the Netherlands. I think they lost about 3,000 farms. It was taken to the European Supreme Court, and the farmers lost. And that's farming going. But where is that all going? The system of the beast is so much so that they want to take this land away from people and take it away from production, hence climate change, rewilding as they are calling it. But the target really is people, especially God's people. So this becomes a very serious issue as we are talking now. And I happened to go through their system, their food production system. I did a course in that. In fact, it was in 2013 or 14, I can't remember, 14 actually. I attended, I was a member of the IAGRI-E, which is the Institute of Agricultural Engineers. And the title, I mean, the theme there was reimagining agriculture. That's when I first heard about eating bugs, crickets, in order to save the climate. And they were saying 9 billion people by 2030 or whatever it is, how we will feed them. And they were exploring these many ideas. But among the many ideas, one of the most prominent things was eating crickets and cricket powder that we are hearing now, which is exactly what they've already implemented. In fact, the person who was talking about it had come from a university, was a doctor from a university in the Netherlands. And he was saying already the Netherlands are doing it, but I thought it was just a crazy academic idea. What I didn't know, it was part of the mark of the beast system that they're building. And hence they are saying by 2030, even for those who eat beef, not that we eat beef because we know better, but for those, it will become a thing just for the rich. That's exactly what they are doing. So I think this brings home what God was warning through the scriptures and through Sister White, that we really need to move. You've spoken about seeds again. Seeds, they've been trying for a long time. There's 2 companies right now which have been trying this for the longest time, and that's Monsanto, which is the biggest one, and it's been covering the whole world. I think there was only a few countries in Africa that had refused, one of which was Zimbabwe during Robert Mugabe's time. They didn't have any genetically modified things, but they are flooding the market with their products. And all the GM stuff, you can't regrow, even if it's not been neutered by the industry. Legally, you will not be able to grow it, because once they genetically modify it, it's their way of owning it. They're talking about they're improving yields and maybe disease resistance and weeds and all that, but the real purpose for any modification is so that they can own it, because they can claim intellectual property on it. And that's what they've been doing. So the issue that you're talking about, seeds, is a real serious one, because any genetically modified seeds, even those that can be regrown, legally, as a farmer, you're not allowed to grow them for a second season.
Naturally, they've already done what you call, they've put their own genes such that you, even if you wanted to, you can only grow them for 2 seasons. That's it. Yeah,
but what I'm saying is, even if they had not done that, legally, they now have a right to claim it as their personal stuff, hence intellectual property. Whereas the seeds that you're talking about, and I wanted to emphasize, the seeds that you're talking about, the heirloom seeds and these natural seeds, nobody owns them because God created them. But these ones, because they are claiming that they have created them. And hence, and if you notice, again, I go back to COVID. The first thing in America, particularly, Walmart stopped people from buying and was classed as non-essential, was seeds. They put a ring, they ring-fenced the seeds, and they were not to be touched. And that was warning number 1 for us. So I know a lot of people don't understand when I say we are already living in the mark of the beast crisis. We are. People are waiting for the declaration of the Sunday law. That's not it. We are already living it, and God has shown us warning after warning after warning for us to make a move, and we still now can, because the restrictions are not fully there. So I just thought I would add those elements to your speech. Then
thank you so much. I think I just want to re-emphasize the issue of God leading you out to wherever he pleases. I believe in all that we have said, there is nothing that can surpass that. Why I say that is God never leads you where you will not be able to survive. So where if you ask for God's guidance and you say, Lord, please just direct me on this one. He will guide you to wherever he wills, and it will be well with your soul. That's all I can say. To me, I've known that, because if God says go to such a place and such a place, you are going to build in such an area, God has already prepared a way for you, so you don't have to worry about what's coming. Yes, it's coming, but you can smile at the storm. There's that chorus we used to see. People still sing it. I'm sure I haven't sung it for a long time. With Jesus in the face, so we can smile at the storm. So it's only as God leads us that we will be able to survive. But if you're going to bring to the table and say, now I'm going for the country living, this is where I'm going, this is what I'm going to do, this is what that's you planning, and that's you doing it. We need to learn that we need to allow God to work in us to will and to do of his good pleasure. It's an experience that maybe some of us, we are afraid to do because we are so scared. If I surrender everything to God, I may never go to my Caribbean home ever again. If I surrender to God, I may never go back to my country of birth. Let's learn from Abraham. Let's learn from Abraham. When God leads, all will be well.
I think we also need to be open. I agree, obviously, with everything you said there. I think we also need to be open to the idea that God might lead us in stages, because obviously everyone's personal situations are quite different. Mm-hmm. And you've spoken tonight about how one can acquire a piece of land and then begin the planning permission process through that, and then after that perhaps obviously construct something, etc., that you've been describing. But I don't think it's a lack of faith, and I think Spirit of Prophecy kind of supports this as well. The main thing initially is to get out of those big cities. So if you're in London, if you're in Birmingham, if you're in Manchester, Liverpool, whatever it might be, say you're renting there, then find a place in the more rural areas, mm-hmm. and just transfer and rent there. If you're doing a public job, like, I don't know, teaching or nursing or caring or whatever, you can often transfer just to that other area and carry on what you're doing, so that it's not because I think for some people this might feel a little bit overwhelming. Perhaps in some circumstances they might be looking at the way their life is now and thinking, how on earth is God ever going to lead me from point A to point B? Mm-hmm. And I don't doubt he will, but he might do it in stages. And I see very few, in fact, it's puzzled me for a while. Why is he so few Adventists living in villages or the outskirts of villages? I know we have several in the area that I'm in, and they're really, really reasonably priced. So if you're, as I say, if you're owning in a city, maybe you can own in a little village. If you're renting in one, you can rent in the other. And we've described owning a piece of land that is mentioned within the Spirit of Prophecy for reasons that we're aware of. Mm-hmm. But the primary thing is there are going to be many things that hit the cities that will not be hitting the rural areas. We've just started a kind of warlike situation. Who knows where that's going to lead, but it could be very serious. In which case, if there's destruction coming from a human source, even if it's coming from a supernatural source in a sense, it's the troublous times are going to be much, much harder to survive through, mm-hmm. If you're in the cities. So absolutely. I think a primary focus for people is just get out of those cities now. Obviously I won't say now because as I say there's a degree of planning, but if you feel that actually it's not, how do I put this without being a lack of faith, if God opens an opportunity that you can rent, as I say, in a small little village somewhere and still be on a bus route to a local town where you can get your job and witness, as you say, we still need to be witnessing for the cities, then I'd say I don't think that's a lack of faith to just take it. And then once you're there, God can lead you in a second stage to acquire a piece of land or something like that.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you 100%. We need to make a move. Those who are in the big cities maybe should have moved out long time to smaller cities, and now in the villages it's just, I believe it's all in stages. If we have obeyed God, we would be in very probably villages now, would have already moved out of post-COVID, would now be in villages and moving now to the countryside. But I believe now more than ever, we need God to intervene. We need to make a move. Whichever way, we need to make a move. But not randomly, just, haphazardly. We need to prayerfully ask for, Lord, I need to do your will. Help me. He will help us, every one of us. In fact, that is God's will. So there's no way he's not going to help any one of us. He's going to help every one of us who is willing to be helped. So
Amen.
yes, that's it. My prayer is that we will ask for that opening so we can make the initial steps out of the situation.